Hi, and welcome back to Sanz channel. What do you think of when you think of self-care? Do you think of a bubble bath? Do you think of a spa day? Do you think of going on vacation or booking a massage? That's what most people think of when they think about self-care. Self-care is actually anything that you do to intentionally restore your sense of well-being. And that could mean many, many different things, and it should, because you should be doing something every single day for self-care. In my last video on what highly resilient people do, the first thing that I mentioned was that they put self-care first. They know that you have to restore and replenish your own supplies in order to be able to give to other people without becoming depleted or burned out. And remember, self-care is not something that you do just for yourself. And self-care isn't selfish. If you are doing a really good job of practicing self-care, everyone around you and everyone that you interact with is going to benefit. When you feel good, other people are going to feel better. What a lot of people think when they think of self-care are things like pampering, like the spa days and the bubble baths that we talked about before. But really, I think the best forms of self-care don't even cost any money. They do cost you some time, but I think it's important to think of self-care as an investment that you're making in yourself that will pay you dividends in the future. What you're looking for self-care to do is to help improve your mood and reduce your stress. You'll get better sleep. You'll be able to respond to stress better in the future. So there's a payoff for that time that you are going to spend, but you don't really have to spend very much money for really good self-care. There's a saying that goes, do something today that your future self will thank you for. And I love that saying. And a lot of forms of self-care are really exactly about that. It's doing something every single day that in the future, you're going to be so thankful that you did. So it might be, preparing some really healthy foods so that you can grab that easily. It might be that you get a healthy habit established like exercising every day, because the payoffs for that in terms of your mental health and your physical health are incredible. So self-care like that doesn't feel pampering, but the dividends that are paid from those kinds of forms of self-care are incredible. Now, I don't want you to get the idea that I think that spa days and bubble baths are not a great form of self-care, but I am going to give you a particular way to think about self-care that I hope will be helpful. So I want you to think about self-care in terms of up, down, inside, and out. And what I mean by that is we're going to talk about whether we're moving your energy up or down, and whether we're going to have your focus moving inside or outside. So the first thing that I want to talk about is energy up. So if we're moving up, we're talking about forms of self-care that are designed to get you moving, to get you acting, to get you being productive. So some examples of energy up forms of self-care are going to be checking something off of your to-do list. It's going to be exercising. It might be drawing or playing music or creating something. All forms of activity that by the time you get done with them, you feel energized. You feel replenished. You feel like you've recharged your batteries, but in that powerful energy up sort of way. So that's one form of self-care. Now, another form of self-care, when we're talking about the down or the energy down, that's self-care that is designed to sort of regulate your nervous system down in terms of relaxation, in terms of helping to recharge your batteries, but in the calming way. So examples of energy down forms of self-care are the typical kinds of things that when people say, what is self-care, that's what we think of. So we think about things like massage. We think about things like practicing stress management techniques, or taking a nice long hot bath or shower, or doing some deep breathing exercises, all kinds of activities that by the time you get done with them, you will also have recharged your batteries, but in that calming, relaxing sense. Forms of self-care where focus is going inside are self-care that's designed to focus on what's going on with you and help you to get in touch with what's happening with you. A lot of times when we're really, really stressed or just life going on like normal, it's easy to lose what you're thinking about, what you're feeling, what you're wanting, and what you're needing. And that's an important thing for you to be able to do in order to take care of yourself. So some examples of focusing on the inside and those kinds of activities are going to be journaling, meditating, sitting and talking with a really close friend or your therapist, and doing a gratitude practice, something that really asks you to go within yourself and think about those things that are important to you and allow yourself to get in touch with feelings instead of distracting yourself, instead of doing things with your energy. It's about applying your focus and allowing it to go in. When we're talking about forms of focus outside kinds of self-care, we're talking about things that get you outside of yourself. And so some examples of self-care that are focused outside are volunteering or doing something nice for someone else. And it might seem a little strange that one form of self-care is actually taking care of someone else. But actually, we know from many, many studies that doing something nice for someone else is a wonderful way of lifting your mood and actually improving your energy. Getting outside in nature is one of the most wonderful forms of self-care. Spending time in green space has been found to improve mental health in wonderful ways. And if where you live there really aren't easily accessible green spaces, one of the things that you can do for this form of self-care is to consider creating a green space, whether that's inside your room or your apartment or a balcony or a patio, and to bring that green space closer to you so that you can be tending plants. So people who garden, people who can work with soil and with plants, find it to be a very peaceful, very rejuvenating form of self-care. Another thing that you can do where the focus is outside is spending time with animals or with pets. As you're trying to think about what do I really need today, because you're going to want to practice self-care every single day. Think about where your energy is at. If you're really low energy, think about moving it up with those up forms of self-care. If you're really agitated and you really have that sense of feeling incredibly stressed, think about the down energy. Think about the relaxing forms of self-care. If you really haven't had much time to even think about yourself, what you're feeling even, processing everything that's been going on in your life, think about the focus inside forms of self-care. And if you're just kind of sick of yourself and your life and everything that's going on, one of the best forms of self-care for you might be focusing outside. I'm going to link to some additional resources below that you can look at to find lots and lots of different ideas for self-care. And I would also love for you to comment what is your go-to for self-care so that we can all learn from each other, especially now when some of our forms of self-care have been curtailed. So please feel free to do that. Leave that in the comment section. Also, if you are struggling with the hows of self-care or the whys of self-care, why should I take care of myself and devote that time, or how do I do it? If you're feeling stuck, don't struggle and don't stay stuck. This might be a really good opportunity to work with a therapist who can help you to get unstuck. Self-care is vital for being resilient, especially in managing stress for the long haul. So if you're stuck, don't stay that way. Please seek some therapy. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you'll tune in again next time. I'm going to start talking about how to establish routines and healthy habits, and that's something that people usually tell me that they struggle with, so we're going to start getting into that. So until next time, please be well, stay safe. Bye-bye.